up? What's up? And what's good, everyone? It's your man, Governor Wildstar, and welcome to the Black Side of Liberty. I appreciate any and all of you out there that are watching this broadcast, no matter it's live right now or later on in the future. I appreciate you being part of this liberty movement. If you are watching live, please be sure to drop some comments or questions during the broadcast. We'll do our best to try to address them during the show, but I do have some questions for my guest that I want to make sure that she answers first and foremost, okay? So we're going to get into that because she's a bit limited on time, and I'm going to make all those announcements that I usually make at the beginning of the show at the end, so definitely be sure to stick around. But with no further ado, I would like to introduce to you a very active member in the Libertarian movement. Her name is Paige Sexton, and she's actually the founder of the Libertarian Party of Carroll County, Tennessee. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Excellent. All right. Well, I appreciate you for being here with me, Vicky. And if you could just introduce yourself to all the people out there, because they don't know much about you. And if you could just introduce yourself to bring them up to speed on who is Vicky P for Liberty.
Yes, sir. All right. So my name is Paige Sexton. I am a registered nurse. First and foremost, I'm a registered nurse. I work emergency and trauma emergency room. I am a wife. My husband, David, is the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Tennessee. His name is David Sexton. We have two kids, Jonathan, who is 9, and Amelia, who is 4 months old. I started out in the Libertarian Party January 4th of 2017. It was soon after I founded my local county affiliate here in Carroll County, Tennessee, where I have spent most of my life, actually. I grew up in this area. Quickly after that, I became the Delta Regional Coordinator, so I helped represent 18 of the 21 counties in West Tennessee on the Tennessee Executive Committee. And then in the 2018 Libertarian National Convention, I was elected by the Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee delegates to be the Region 2 alternate for the Libertarian National Committee. So that's kind of a brief overview of my libertarian activism up until this point.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I'm glad that you brought up the part about you creating your local affiliate, because that's a great accomplishment. And a lot of people don't understand why it's important to set up a local chapter where they are. So if you could just, tell us, why did you actually create a local affiliate? I mean, I know it's a matter of outreach and making sure that the people know about the libertarian message, actually know about libertarian candidates running locally, but what inspired you to actually do such a thing?
So what inspired me to actually start my own county affiliate was the fact, for one, there was nothing here locally to help bring that outreach and bring out our libertarian principles. Around in rural West Tennessee, it's kind of like most of the country. Most people are libertarians. They just don't know it yet. They just haven't been presented the message. And so I saw that there was this need, and I felt this calling to start up this county affiliate and try and grow it to the best of my abilities. And I'm still the current chair at this time. I am hoping here within the next year that I will have someone else take over, because one thing that I am a firm believer in is that, one, term limits, but then two, the fact that you should be fostering up the people that are coming behind you, because that's how you keep a legacy. That's how you keep things going. That's how you keep that forward momentum. I can't stay in the seat for forever. Someone has to come up and they have to help keep building upon it. And so that's what I'm currently working on with it. And that's something that every person should try and do locally as well.
That's wonderful. Yeah, because we definitely need more leaders to create more leaders. You can have a group of followers or supporters or people that, advocate for your cause. But if you train them and put them in a position to where they're going out there and they're doing exactly that, they're, reaching out to more people such as yourself and creating an affiliate wherever they are. I'm here in Fresno, and the local affiliate here has kind of been up and down simply because of people being committed to actually making sure that they build the party here locally and get people involved. So it's very inspirational that you're doing such a thing, and I hope that more people take, following your footsteps and do exactly that. So you also mentioned that you are a nurse. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because with this whole coronavirus thing, a lot of people are confused. They don't know the severity of it. And we get a lot of mixed information in the news as to the death rate, which has now been confirmed by the CDC to be 0.2%. Okay, you people can look it up. And who said that people actually collect what is it? Getting the coronavirus from asymptomatic people is very rare, as they said. And they changed it after that information went public. But with you being in the medical field, is the coronavirus really serious? Was the lockdown necessary? And I mean, have you had any experiences with it lately?
So I actually, at one of the hospitals I work at, we have, and I work in Memphis, Tennessee, which has been a not as big of a hotbed for the COVID-19, but has been a fairly prominent one. And one of the hospitals I work at is actually one of Memphis's COVID-19 units. So I have seen COVID-19 patients. I will say the majority that I have seen are those that are immunocompromised, those that naturally should be wary of viruses in general, the flu, strep, etc.
Right.
What I have also seen is that those are the ones who don't have as much of a recovery rate. It's because they're already immunocompromised.
Right.
So with that being said, I personally do not feel the lockdown was as necessary as what they thought it was. I think that it was a knee-jerk reaction. I think it was not as, I don't think it was as beneficial to the people as what they tried to make it out to be. I think it was more detrimental than anything because it did cause a little bit of a collapse into the economy briefly. They went and did this stipend, which is great whenever you look at, oh, I got $1,200, but then you have to times that by the millions and millions of people that are in the United States and how much debt that caused, more than what we already have. And yeah, so I personally think that the lockdown was not 100% necessary, or at least to the extent that it was. And I think we should be opening up businesses. I think that businesses should be opening up. I think people should be entering the public with less fear.
Oh no, I lost your sound.
Huh?
Lost your sound there for a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of people in the medical field who disagree with me, saying that, we should reopen and we should do all of this. But in my opinion, that is what we should be doing, because it has shown that it is such a low death rate that why should we be locking down the entire country for something so small?
Yeah. And it's sad because with the misinformation, it's like one day they're telling you a mask is necessary. And then the next day they're saying, a mask is actually counterproductive because it causes more respiratory issues. And it's just sad because, again, the public is pretty much being reliant upon the media and I guess these professionals of the industry to provide them correct, accurate information. And they are not. And it seems like the incentive more than anything seems to be money. Like you pointed out with the American public, the general public being sent out these stimulus checks, these $1,200 checks, which are basically inflating the economy. But a large majority of the recipients of that stimulus package was also corporate America, and the healthcare industry. So it's sad that a lot of wasted funds, taxpayer dollars have kind of went down the drain, and we aren't paying more attention on that more than the virus itself and the hysteria, the pandemic panic that's been caused around it. So I would say with anything that, or more than anything, what you were talking about, it expresses more of a conservative view, and libertarians for the most part tend to lean to be more conservative, or looked at as being more conservative. And with the idea that's been floating around recently about defunding the police, you would think that you would have more libertarians being vocal and supporting of it. We always have been, but our concern is it's another government program that's going to end up taking its place, or there are other concerns. But generally, it sounds like a good idea. But again, with libertarians being more promoting of this and you have people on the left, the Democrats supporting this. Wouldn't you think more conservatives would be on the bandwagon of defunding the police, especially when it comes to our tax dollars, again, being wasted on internal investigations and that go nowhere? It's legal, legal fees that are paid by taxpayers, settlement fees that are paid by taxpayers when these shootings happen. So in light of the recent, George Floyd killing and all of the protests, and again, the demand to defund police departments nationwide, don't you think that's something that more conservatives would be supportive of, and shouldn't they be?
They should be, because that is in their name as a conservative. They're supposed to be conservative, conservatives, right? And the thing is that these fiscal conservatives are not that way. We see clearly every day how these two parties are basically joined up into one. They're just the same faction with two different colors. Mm-hmm. And so, honestly, in my opinion, when will conservatives actually do it? Whenever you see police unions stop paying their pockets, whenever you stop seeing police unions lining their pockets, yes, then you will start seeing them voting to defund the police departments, or at least minimize it to where it's like on a county level or something. Do something to help decrease it. And one big step that they have started to make is that now we have that tripartisan bill in Congress to end qualified immunity. So that's a step. We do have some Republicans that are backing that, and there may be more starting to. I don't know for sure, but there might be. That's a step in the right direction, but we need them to take a leap in the right direction. When will they do that? I don't think anytime soon.
You're right about that. And it seems like they've made it more of a right versus left, Republican versus Democrat issue, when it really should just be a we the people issue. We're footing the bill as taxpayers, the national debt, Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or whatever the case may be. You're on the hook for that, and your government is holding you accountable through taxation. And you're right. You would think more conservatives would be on board, especially here in the state of California, where you have police departments that drive around in Teslas and Lamborghinis paid for by taxpayers. Why? Because if they're in a high-speed chase and, they want to, I guess, chase down somebody, which should be against the law, they have actually outlawed it in certain places, because it causes more liability. What's that?
Memphis is one of those. In Memphis, it is actually against their rules and against the law in Memphis for police to actively chase. And I have actually seen where some cops decided to do that. And I have seen brass come bebopping into my trauma bay, catching some names really quick, because that is completely against their rules. And if they catch you doing that, it doesn't matter. Your ass is grass.
Wow. See, that type of accountability needs to happen here in California. It doesn't, and I don't know why it doesn't. It's more of that padding of pockets behind closed doors, I believe, to kind of keep that machine going. Like you mentioned, the police unions, which are a big funder, that's not even being discussed in this issue either. Defund the police unions, which happen to reward these police officers. And if they were to be held more accountable, they could actually provide the disciplinary actions on an individual level through the union. So it's sad that these type of actions aren't being considered also, and more on a broad level, including the qualified immunity. A lot of people don't know the police officers have a police bill of rights, that level that exists there. And qualified immunity is now bringing all of this to light. Hopefully you'll get the Republicans and Democrats, black, white people, whoever, whatever, behind these damn bills, because it's a process that we just got to get it started, I believe. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I do want to ask you something else, because I don't assume that all white people think the same. A lot of, people think that of black people. And we, of course, want to get rid of all of these stereotypes. So with that in mind, I do want to ask you this, because I've been seeing a lot of I guess, quarrels online about this Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. It's not a racist issue, etc. So for all the people that are out there saying all lives matter and we should be getting upset about police shootings when they happen to white people as much, which it has, I mean, they're absolutely true. I mean, they're absolutely right. It is true that because of the numbers here in America, you know, white people make up about 70% of the population in the entire country. So it would stand to reason that, you know, more people of the white community would get killed than everybody else. But when these police shootings do happen, like, let's see here, we got the Kelly Thomas shooting, or not shooting, beating. They beat him on video like they did, you know, Rodney King. This video came out. There were protests behind it. You know, the Black Lives Matter got behind that protest. I went out there myself. I didn't see many white people out there, believe it or not. And the way that the conclusion came about was, you know, the same thing that happens. The police officers got off. The family got a paycheck. Everything went away. You had the killing of Justine Damon by a police officer. He ended up getting found guilty, most likely because he was black. But that ended up happening. You had the killing of Duncan Lemp, who recently, you know, that happened. He was it was a no-knock raid. He was shot and killed in his home. You had over the weekend, the Virginia protesters were attacked by KKK members, supposedly, where this driver drove his truck through some protesters. And you had that same thing happen a few years ago with the Virginia protests, where you had a white girl killed by the name of Heather Heyer. Just recently, you had the killing of a guy named Johnny Baldwin, who was a white kid, and he was pulled over for a routine traffic stop, I guess had warrants, whatever the case may be, started to run, and he fell in a pond and couldn't swim. And the officers watched him drown and was calling him dumbass, and it was just awful. But you hear these cases where, again, you would think more people would rise to the occasion and say we need to end police brutality for everyone since all lives matter, but it doesn't happen. It only happens, you know, when the black person get killed and the black community comes out to rally, and then, you know, it becomes like this unified effort to end that. So I want to ask you if you could just answer as honestly as possible, even if you don't think that way yourself, why don't white people protest when they're killed by cops?
Well, for one thing, I know it's kind of been a coin term here lately, but it's 100% correct. All lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. The thing is that, yes, you said that 70% of the population roughly is Caucasian. However, if you look at the rates of arrests for nonviolent crimes, rates of police brutality, and all these other things, you see a higher rate of African Americans, specifically African American males, that are having this happen to them. So the police brutality and the unjustness of everything that's happening with the African American community caused by law enforcement, that is what is being seen, and that is what's being seen by the African American community. And so the black community is coming up and they're supporting their own. Why us white people can't do that for our own, I still don't know. Because every time I have seen, I remember, what was it, the gentleman who was on the floor, who was, I can't remember his name to save my life right now, but he was on the floor crawling in his hotel hallway and was shot.
That was
right there. He was white, and I was up in arms about that, because it's police brutality in general. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It matters the fact that you have people who are in uniform who are taking it upon themselves to exert this power because of a badge they have, and because they have this qualified immunity that is behind them. And the thing is that I wish more white people would stand up and say, this has got to stop. And I'm starting to see it a little bit more now than what you used to. Like I've seen a lot more white people, at least in my area, which I live in rural West Tennessee, you know how that could be. And I'm starting to see a lot more people be like, you know what? Maybe there isn't something that's right. Maybe there is something that is going wrong. And I'm hoping that that will start to highlight all of this more, and that you will see more white people stand up, not only for their own community, but for the Black community at large also.
Yeah, you're right about that. It has been more of a unifying moment than ever before I've seen, where you've had hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people hit the streets together to protest against police brutality all across America, all across the world, even. That you've had protests spawn in. What is it, in Switzerland, where the police have actually been quite violent, believe it or not, in response to that and to their protests, which have been peaceful for the most part. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people misconstrue protests with riots because it's portrayed in the fake news that all of this is violent. It's just chaos. And the police are doing their best out there to kind of just quell this and keep it all under control.
On top of that, it doesn't help that the media is portraying that most of the rioters are Black.
Exactly, yeah. And most of the people doing vandalism are Black, and, doing the looting are Black. When I've seen tons of videos where, there's been people in Seattle and Beverly Hills looting stores and, going on Starbucks and spray painting BLM when they're not Black themselves. So there is evidence that is out there, but it's not being spoken of in the media. And you also have police officers that are going around concealing their identity, putting lapels over their badges and stuff to protect their identity. So it's crazy that we're seeing more of a police state take presence in our country. And you would think that would be the rallying point for us to all come together and say, enough is enough. We all need to get rid of this. I forgot. I didn't mean to put you on the hook there. You still there? Can you hear me?
Hear you.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, it's a lot of this happening, and hopefully out there in Memphis, Tennessee, you're doing everything your part to kind of educate people, bring them up to speed, unite people, galvanize them to get involved and attack this on a local level. Because if we can start getting people involved at just reform, any type of reform is acceptable. I mean, just to kind of get the ball rolling at least. But we definitely need to be progressive about it, because enough is enough. And we have an opportunity to take advantage of this moment and actually provide comprehensive legislation where it can bring an end to it in totality. But it's a matter of culture. It's a matter of training. I think all police officers should be required to have a degree in psychology, or something to that effect, social services. That way they are trained first in how to deal with people, and how to understand people, opposed to just being straight out of high school, having a lot of testosterone and whatever comes with being in high school or their upbringing, given a gun and being told to go out in the streets and keep them safe. But we see that happening with our military also. So it's a shame that, again, we don't look at the formation of these institutions in that way. Wouldn't you agree to some extent?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All right. I don't want to put you on the spot with that, but what's that?
I said I 100% agree. There has to be more training for law enforcement, and the fact that you have people that are, I know most of them, for law enforcement to be on the streets, you have to be, usually, at least in Tennessee, you have to be 21, but still 21 is still really young.
Right.
They're still hopped up on, like you said, testosterone, everything else that's going on. And then you have these poor boys that are in high school that are signing up for the military, and they don't fully understand what they're signing up for. They don't. I mean, my husband is a veteran. He's a combat vet. He'd tell you they don't know what they're signing up for. He was 23 when he signed up, and he didn't even know what he was signing up for.
Wow.
That's just the way it is, and it's sad.
Yeah, and that's the truth that needs to be kind of passed on to the public. You know, they really need to be educated on the truths of how these roles in society take effect on just the person's character. You know, if they're dealing with some bit of personal trauma in their upbringing and they haven't even came to any personal resolve or, evolution themselves characteristically, how can we expect them to go out there and demand that of others? It's that comply or die part of their policing that needs to be considered in reform as well. So, but enough with that. I do appreciate you answering all of those questions because, I don't really know what I'm going to ask sometimes. And like all of my guests here, they don't know exactly what I'm going to say. So I appreciate you for answering them all. And I do have another I want to ask because a lot of people do have, I guess, their stereotypical beliefs when it comes to we as people. And I'd like to use my platform to kind of, dispel that in any way that I can. But it is widely believed that white people love apple pie, that's their favorite dessert. So Vicky P, Liberty, can you answer that question for me? Is apple pie your favorite dessert? I mean,
it's one of my favorites. Yeah, that and peach cobbler. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
You said,
well, you are in Tennessee, so you know.
Damn, I'm a stereotype. Yeah, I like me some apple pie.
That's fine. Hey, we all love apple pie. My wife, that's actually one of her favorites is apple pie. But me personally, I'm a cake person. I want the red velvet, something like that. But yeah, we all love apple pie. I think it's just as American as anybody, no matter what your ethnicity may be or skin color or whatever the case may be. It's just something that we've come to appreciate, not only being American, but I think just being people that appreciate culture, appreciate others, appreciate what we have to share with each other. So, and that's what makes our country really beautiful. And that's what makes America really great, y'all. But Vicky P for Liberty, again, I appreciate you for coming on. You can check her out right here again at facebook.com and Vicky P for Liberty. Vicky, what's going on with you right now currently? Are you still running for a position with the National Party?
I am actually seeking the LNC at-large representative position. There's 5 positions total for that, and I'm seeking one of them.
Excellent. All right. So all of you people out there in Memphis, Tennessee, if you are part of the Libertarian Party, please definitely contact Victoria Paige Sexton right here, and she can get you not only involved in the party locally, but she can get you involved in the national party so you can hopefully get her elected as an at-large member. We need her on the national level, you guys. Trust me. I can't tell you how much I mean that on a personal level. We need more, more people like you to be involved in coordinating, orchestrating, getting things just together on a level to where us candidates, have an opportunity to excel and actually get elected for executive offices, because you're promoting also Joe Jorgensen, candidate for president of the United States as well, correct?
Yes, sir. 100%.
All right, wonderful. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get her elected, get more people informed about our campaign as well. So again, Vicky Paige Sexton, I appreciate you for being on the show. God bless you and your family. And thank you so much again for being part of the Liberty movement, because we all appreciate everything that you're doing. We need more people like you. Go clone yourself if you can.
It's my
kids.
All right, I will. Thank you so much for having me on.
Pleasure indeed. You take care. God bless.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, you guys, that again was Victoria Paige Sexton. If you're out there in Carroll County, Texas, or Tennessee, pardon me, I apologize. I'm getting Texas on my mind right now. But if you're out there near Memphis, Tennessee, Carroll County, be sure to hit her up, get involved with the Libertarian Party there locally, as well as nationally, because she is running as an at-large member and could use your vote. All right, but I want to get into my announcements really quickly before I get out of here. Please be sure, people, vote, vote, vote. Elections are still happening right now. It's June, and I know it's a lot going on in the world, but please get involved in these elections. If you want to make real change, we got to change our leadership. We got to get involved in these electoral processes. I know it's a lot of people out there that think voting doesn't work. Well, it's working for somebody, because we all still living here under these laws, under these regulations, and we want to have our freedoms and liberties respected, especially by those we put in positions of power to protect them for us. All right. So please be sure to get involved in your local elections. I know that coming up soon, we even have Mississippi, Virginia, and New York coming up soon. So please, if you live in any of those states or don't know when your your state primary is going to be, Google it, look it up, just like I did. Speaking of New York, the next guest that I'm going to have on my show is Larry Sharpe, who was a candidate that ran for governor of New York, two-time candidate, I believe, for governor of New York. And he also ran for vice president for the Libertarian Party recently. So we're going to be speaking with Mr. Larry Sharpe on the next show of Black Side of Liberty. Again, please be sure to come back next time, be a part of that episode, and let's talk more about what's going on, because it does take we the people, to step up to the plate, keep each other informed, and get this liberty revolution over and dealt with. We can make it happen. We just got to band together. And that's what I'd like for every one of you to do that are watching this. So I appreciate you for tuning in to the Black Side of Liberty with your man, Governor Wildstar. Again, be sure to tune in next week with Larry Sharpe next Tuesday. And till then, may the light of God and liberty shine on each one of y'all. Peace.